Alright, so in this episode we'll be doing the Hinterlands and finishing up Count Ymir's questline, which also requires us going through the Hinterlands, so two birds with one stone. To get there, if you've been watching the walkthrough, you already know how to do this, but you want to first grab the Oh Mother gesture here off of this corpse statue thing here just north of Bonnie Village. And then we're going to take that and go to Shadowkeep, back to the Shadowkeep back gate grace. And then you can take that in this nearby room over here. There's going to be a statue of Marika. And use the Oh Mother gesture. Statue slides out of the way, and the path to the Hinterlands is revealed. So grab the first grace here. First of all, if you go northeast up to the top of that peak up there, kind of just this whole area up here, all there is at the top of that peak is a bunch of shadow sunflowers that you can grab, but that's really it. So we're going to go east, and there's going to be two... Oh no, yeah, you can see one over there. Can't remember. I mean, the other one's like hiding around the corner, so I guess you can't see him from here. But there's going to be two Tree Sentinels. And once we get close to the first one, you'll see Yolan's summon sign this path here. We fought plenty of Tree Sentinels already, so I'm just going to summon, speed this up a little bit. There's Yolan. Fun fact, if you get one of them down to like 1 HP and then summon Yolan, it will bring them back to 50% health, which is not very cool. So either summon her early or not at all. Honestly, I don't even know why I summoned her, but I saw a shiny thing and I interacted with it. That's how my brain works. It's really just going to slow down this fight pretty significantly, though. Helps out a lot, though, because, well, I guess this first one has a torch, so if you're like a caster and you have a hard time with these guys because they like to deflect your spells, this one's not going to do that. But the other one has a shield, so he will. And you have to kill both of them here, just like the last dual Tree Sentinel fight, so summons will persist. Nice. So much happening on the screen right now. Alright, so down they go. Get 90,000 runes, another Blessing America, and then up to the right up there, if you follow that path, you're going to get to an area called Shaman Village, but there's some like extra stuff we can do there towards the end of this episode, so I'm just going to save it for that. Really the only item of note up there I feel like is talisman that's going to increase your holy resistance, which isn't really going to come in too handy in this particular episode, so shouldn't be hurting too bad leaving that for later. But we cross this bridge, get the Hinterland Bridge Grace, and then we can mount up, follow this path a little bit down the hill, and then over to the right in these trees. I guess there's like 2 levels to this, so Go past this until, yes, right here. And this back corner of the southwest, there should be a couple items for us. I usually just ignore all the hands. Stay on torrent, they shouldn't be a problem. Some of those, whatever they are. Some shadow sunflowers, pearlescent scale. And then back out here, you can go northeast. I would go to the left of this giant spire here, because there's a bunch of hands stuck to the right side. And you should see the grace up ahead. Grab that, doesn't look like we're being chased. I'm gonna swap this for that. Now, I have a confession to make. I may have contacted From Software and left an anonymous tip that most people's favorite boss was a tie between the double Tree Sentinel and the Fallingstar Beast. I thought it was a harmless prank, I thought it'd be funny, but here we are in the DLC and they added a whole region where the only bosses are double Tree Sentinel and Fallingstar Beast. I'm really sorry about that. I did not think they would listen to me, but actions have consequences. Also, that's not quite the whole truth, I just don't have the heart to tell you what the other boss is. Please no. You fought a lot of these too. Get in here, bird. You guys don't need help with this. I might though. That's crazy, both of those missed. Ghosts don't get humiliated by the Fallingstar Beast challenge, impossible. No way, we're over 3. There we go. Down it goes. So that should give us some runes and sorcery, gravitational missile, and then warp back to Fingerstone Hill. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to mount up, go back to this path over here, and follow it down the hill. Actually, I like to go off to the side a little bit. So, you know, we don't have to deal with that. And then we link back up with the path and go down the hill, and once it gets super foggy, you kind of get to the bottom here. We're going to turn just straight left. Go north. And we'll just keep running north until we get pretty much to the edge of the cliff, honestly. Pretty close to it. And right here, got a corpse with a 2 fingers gesture. Right there on the map. And then east of the gesture, you can see on the next little mini plateau in front of us with the hands, is the 3rd and final duplication coffin in the DLC. So if you want to duplicate some remembrances, there you go. We're going to go southeast from here, just ignore the hands. And then that next little spot we can jump up in front of us, we're gonna not do that and instead just follow it over here to the right. And there should be a hole in the ground and a ton of tiny hands should pop out. There they are. Kind of a traumatic experience. You really don't have to deal with them, honestly. You can drop down into the hole. Maybe you should deal with a couple. And then again, and you see that exit across the way to the east? That's, we're gonna ignore the item, and we're just gonna, well, you can go for the item, but get it quickly and then go for that. Actually be on torrent, that'll probably help. Very large hand. Get the finger creeper ashes, and then straight on through. Is that not technically a boss? It's not. I thought I remembered it having like a boss health bar, so I guess the only actual bosses here are the Tree Sentinels and the Fallingstar Beast. But that was the third thing that I was warning you about. And it doesn't drop anything, and it doesn't really even give you that many runes, so I wouldn't even bother fighting it, to be honest with you. There's no Stake America, so you'll have to go all the way back to that Grace we just came from. Not really a good time. So just keep dropping down until you get to this grassy area, and I feel like it's significantly less foggy if it's daytime. It's pretty bad right now, but go south into the Finger Ruins. I'm in combat. But we're just going to the middle of them to ring the bell, so probably don't need the map for that. You can figure it out. Here we go. Sound the bell. And that will get you Cerulean Seed Talisman +1. And then you can warp to Cathedral of Manus Metyr. Go speak to Count Ymir. Exhaust his dialogue. He should give you third ruins map. There we go. Just so happens to be literally right here. You can ask about the nature of the world for some more dialogue too. And you can also buy yet another sorcery, the Fleeting Microcosm, which is pretty cool. It's like, I don't know, it hits very hard if the thing doesn't run away. Like summons that orb you see there underneath whatever you're targeting, and it blows up. And I think it like blows up a second time, much larger, if I remember right. Does quite a bit of damage though if they get caught in it. With that, go back, or actually, sorry, go over here first. Speak to Yolan. Almost forgot.
Our meeting, we know that, but we can. We will never. I have pay me no. I'll serve it. No. No.
Okay, so with her dialogue exhausted, now you can go back and rest. And Count Ymir should be gone. You might remember the first time we came here, I mentioned that it was possible to get to this state a little early, but now it's actually meant to happen. So if you go outside to the west towards this graveyard, you'll hear Count Ymir talking to himself, and I guess talking to the gravestone. But if you go try to talk to him, he'll tell you to go away. So instead, we'll go back inside. Go interact with the throne. It should slide out of the way and reveal a ladder. Slide down that ladder. And up ahead, we will be invaded by Sword Hand of Night Anna. Some claws. Looks a lot like Yolan. Well, she did. She looks a lot like a corpse. Get the Claws of Night, and then just warp back to Cathedral. Be faster than climbing the ladder again. And then speak to Yolan. You can mention her. Tell her you were attacked by a Sword Hand of Night underground.
Wait.
And exhaust her dialogue.
I am in you, but I will hear. I have one and only. Be I will hear no. Be I will hear no.
Okay, cool. So we're going to be fighting a boss in just a second. So now would be a good time to make preparations. Doesn't have any glaring elemental weaknesses, but it is a physically massive boss. So any multi-hit AoE spells and incantations are going to be pretty good here. Something like Shard Spiral for sorcerers works pretty good too if you have it. Now, I really don't like fighting this boss. I'm probably going to die, so I'm going to level up too. It feels... I don't know. There's a couple of attacks it has that feel sort of like Waterfowl Dance to me from Millennia, where it's like, you can definitely dodge it, but how effectively you can dodge it is going to heavily depend on where you're standing when the boss decides to do it. So like, if you recall my guide, I guess if you did watch it, for Millennia, with Waterfowl Dance, you know, there are a couple of things you could do that were like, you know, oh shit buttons basically. Like you could freeze her with a freezing pod if you're quick, or if you just wanted to use something like, what's it called? I'm thinking of the Sekiro one. It's not Mistraven's Feathers. Rapture the Mist, that's right. Or Bloodhound Step, something that gives you a bunch of iframes that you can more easily dodge something than rolling. You know, you have those options, but as far as just like a traditional dodging method where you're just rolling through the attack, you really want to like be proactively positioning yourself so that you're ready for when the boss does it. But like I said, this boss has a couple of moves that I feel like are kind of like that. So if you are a caster, I would say maybe consider reallocating your flasks a little bit to have a couple extra heals potentially. Because I think realistically you're probably going to be just eating some damage in this fight. I'll explain the best I can how to dodge some of these attacks, but I just, you know, sometimes you really just do get hit. What else? I don't need that great rune on. I guess we can pop one, see if I can do this first try. We'll go Morgoth's and just have a stupid amount of HP. Seems like a good plan here. But as for getting to the boss, we're just gonna go downstairs, or down the ladder. Also, like, not just thematically and visually, but kind of gameplay-wise, the boss also does just kind of feel like fighting a giant hand a little bit sometimes. Which, assuming you fought a giant hand by this point in the game, not a great feeling, not a great time. Start the fight, sound the hanging bell. You do have a Stake America here. which you will have to like go through the loading screen where you die and then go through the loading screen again after you ring the bell here. So it takes a little while, I guess, to hit a second attempt. But here's the boss. It's 90+% of the time going to start out with a single laser. This is the 10% where it just walks at you. The red spot on his chest is the weak point. You're going to do more damage there. So try to aim your attacks there. Roll through that. And then these head slams, it can combo up to like 3 times. That's what the regular laser looks like. For this one, you want to get behind it or close to the head. Go for some attacks because it's going to do a big AoE cone in front of it. And chain a few overhead slams, up to 3 there. I usually like to stay close and go for some damage after that, but I was low on health. That one where it crawls to the side, that's kind of one of those ones that if you're right up next to it, it's probably going to hit you. If you're a little bit far away and it does it, like I was, I got lucky, then you can usually just roll backwards a few times. It's got a big delayed slam there. That was an accident, but it looks really cool. Around 60% health, it's going to go to phase 2. Got clipped a little bit there. Got clipped a lot of bit there. Oh, the timing. Can't get a stance break, and the riposte point is on the boss's face, I guess, if you want to call it that. But hopefully I get one here in a second. I can show you a trick. Okay, here we go into phase 2. Got a little AoE, and then a bigger one right when it raises its hands, which came way earlier than I anticipated. I'm definitely not killing it on this attempt. It's a very extensive moveset though, so there was a lot to say. This one I like to just run away from. If you're kind of close to it, okay, nice. If you're really close to it, you kind of just have to time the dodge as it's coming down. These are just a bunch of landmines, basically. Run away from them. Come on, dude. Just gonna summon a couple of little hands. So you can't actually run away from it there. Unfortunate. Alright. Well, we covered a lot of its moveset there, so that's good. Not quite all of it. It's got one other very, very problematic attack that it did not do just... or didn't do in that attempt, but, I guess I'll explain it now you've seen a lot of the attacks. It's basically going to jump up kind of like the phase transition, and there's going to be a huge, just AoE glowing ring around it, that will do damage, obviously. And then the boss is going to spin slowly in air, and it's going to shoot 2 lasers. The first laser, usually you're just going to eat a hit from. If you think that there's even a chance that the boss is going to do the attack, you want to start getting away from it, and you can actually just run super far straight backwards and get out of range of the first laser. And then for the second laser, it leaves a small gap between where the laser is hitting and the edge of the boss's like AoE field around it. So you can kind of slip between that gap. It's easier said than done because the hitboxes are bigger than what they look like on the screen with like the glowing areas that you don't want to be standing in. So yeah, basically if you're far away, try your luck with just running backwards and then go forward and try to like slip into that gap. Otherwise, just accept the fact you're getting hit by the first laser and then go for the gap in the second one, hopefully. Just see if I can get a stance break too. There's the laser. There we go. So you get charged heavy right here, and then you go for the riposte. Oh, it was too late. But if you go for the riposte right there in front of its chest, it'll actually teleport you backwards to the actual critical point on its head, so you can get that extra damage. I don't think I was actually too late there. I think I was too far off to the left. But yeah, you can get that extra just like heavy attack on its weak spot before you actually go for the crit. If you want to take a little risk like I did, which didn't pay off unfortunately, but that's alright. There we actually got knocked down, so the iframe saved us from that second explosion. It's kind of nice. Okay, I can't see what it's doing. But we timed the roll off of straight intuition. Come the little guys. Oh yeah, in phase 2 also it can triple up the lasers. Here we go. So this is definitely hitting me. Now we wait for the second laser. This one you can actually slip through the gap. As you see there. Those hands at. Obviously I was not even remotely far away from the boss there, so would have been no point in trying to outrun that one. Nice. It's probably gonna get hit. Nope. Got back there in time. Come on, man. Getting close to the edge of the arena here, so I gotta be careful. Oh no. Okay, we're good. Sometimes it likes to follow up the landmines with the thing where it makes the big glowing cone-shaped explosion in front of it. So do be prepared for that you might have to quickly get really close to the boss. I'm literally on the edge of the arena here. Stop it. Oof. That was close. So yeah, that's Metyr Mother Fingers. I absolutely hate that boss. I wish I had more advice for you guys on that one. But I really think it's just kind of super awkward. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I only died once though. This should be my runes, right? So far away. Like I said, the you know, the thing where it jumps up and starts like spinning really fast like a helicopter and then slams down, you saw a few times there. You can just time a roll straight into it when it actually does come down, but good luck with the camera. Oh yeah, I had 467 runes, didn't even matter. The lasers, like I said, you can technically outrun the first one if you just run straight backwards, but you're gonna have to be kind of far away from the boss to actually be able to pull that off. Same with like Millennia's waterfowl dance. If you guys recall that video of mine, if you saw that one, where if you think she's going to do it, just get far away, and then when she actually starts it, you can easily just run backwards and like dodge the first couple flurries of it, right? And then of course you saw I was successfully able to slip through that gap between the boss's damaging area and the second laser every time there. The slams in front of it, basically just, you know, it can do one head slam or one slam with its fists, or it can chain it up to like 3 times, so just don't get too aggressive with attacking after the first one. But those are pretty telegraphed, so, you know, if you're doing okay on health and you're not worried about just getting one shot if it clips you, then you saw there a lot of times I would like to just basically stay as close as I could and just keep rolling through those until the combo was done and I'm sitting right there in front of it, able to get a hit on that weak spot on the chest. And of course, again, with getting stance breaks, if you're more centered up than I was, you can get a charged heavy on the weak point and then go for a light attack, and it'll just teleport you backwards towards the boss's head where that crit point actually is, which is kind of nice, so you can get a bunch of damage right there. Status effects work pretty well from what I can remember on that boss. I think you can do frostbite, pretty sure it can bleed, so yeah, best of luck with that. Also, if you have a shield, shields work great for that kind of stuff too, where the boss is just like, you know, hitting you with physical attacks that you're having a hard time dodging. I usually don't recommend great shields in the walkthrough because I know that they, out of the items in the game, they have very, very large stat requirements. So I know that most people are not just going to be able to like throw in a great shield without completely respecing their character. So I try not to like formulate the strat around that, but hopefully that advice gets you through that fight. And with that, we got the Remembrance of the Mother of Fingers. You can trade that for the Staff of the Great Beyond or a colossal weapon called Gazing Finger. With that, though, warp back upstairs to Cathedral of Manus Metyr. And if you would like to spend your runes, now would be the time. We're going to have back-to-back NPC fights coming up here in literally the next room, so whatever you need for that. I feel like I usually prefer waterfowl dance for this sort of thing. Here we go. Interact, get invaded by Yolan. She's using the Knight set and the Knight Shield, which if you remember, or I guess if you looked at the item description on it, it works really well for deflecting spells, so she might be slightly problematic if you're a caster, but she's really not too hard. And then you'll hear Yolan here.
Look here at my fingers.
Spawns in, monologues for a second.
And I will be the only mother.
You can spawn some little hands as well. Alright, well that's that. I did not actually mean to just do that much damage. It's an NPC fight. I doubt anyone's going to struggle with that too hard. As you saw, he obviously doesn't have a lot of health. He has a really cool attack where he like summons this like shield of fingers, but you know, did not have the pleasure of seeing that this time. But you get Ymir's Bell Bearing, the Maternal Staff, High Priest Hat, High Priest Robe, High Priest Gloves, High Priest Undergarment. Not sure why I read all of those out, but you know. Then you can go outside of the west to that grave Ymir was talking to earlier. And you will find the Cherishing Fingers sorcery, which is the one I was just describing. And then warp back to Cathedral of Manus Metyr. We just need to reset the area here. This is the fastest way to do it, I think. And when you're back in the game, go over to where Yolan is usually standing. You'll find her on the ground. And this is a spot where before you speak to her, make sure if you're a skip dialogue kind of person, you're skipping the dialogue with Y or triangle. Because otherwise you'll accidentally just press this first option once you get through her dialogue. So of course, You can give her an Iris of Grace or Iris of Occultation here. As I've explained before, giving her the Iris of Grace will give you her Spirit Ashes, and giving her the Iris of Occultation will get you her weapon, the Sword of Night she was using. It's a really cool looking katana. However, there is actually more that we can do content-wise if we, I don't know, content is a strong word for it, but there is more that we can see if we get her Spirit Ashes. So I'm going to give her the Iris of Grace in this playthrough. If you want both, just got to do a second playthrough. Give her the other Iris next time.
It blinds, as if our night simply never was.
Sword Hand of Night Yolan Ashes. And with that, warp back to the Hinterland Grace. And we will go east, southeast, up that hill to the right, the area that we skipped earlier. To Shaman Village. And right in the middle you'll find this glowing tree with the minor Erdtree incantation. This place is beautiful. I think it's better at night, honestly. We'll keep going up this hill here. Check this tree for the golden braid talisman. That's gonna give you your maximum holy damage resistance. It's basically like a maxed out Haligdrake tout, right? Haligdrake is the holy one, right? Now I have to double check. Yes, so instead of a Haligdrake talisman +3, we get the golden braid. But go southeast here. Wait, hold on. Did I? No, there's not an item up there. We're good. Yeah, we're just gonna keep dropping down these cliffs wherever you see an opportunity to do so. Till you can drop down to Rabbith's Rise. This place we were at earlier. Earlier in the walkthrough, I should say. There's all this extra tower up above where the Spirit Spring took us that we couldn't get to. This is how we get to it. So here, if and only if you took Yolan's Spirit Ashes, you will be able to interact with this puppet and usher Anna into Sword Hand of Night Yolan's Spirit Ashes, which will combine them into a single Spirit Ash called Yolan and Anna. If you gave her the Iris of Occultation and got the Sword of Night, then you'll have to do this on your next playthrough. Now, cool factor aside, these are easy top 10 best Ashes in the game in my opinion. Strong argument for top 5. I have not been able to really use all the DLC Ashes a lot yet. And sadly, Metyr and Tish, I think, will pretty much always occupy the top 2 spots on the best Ashes list, but these can seriously be very strong. They're great individually, but there's 2 of them, and they both build up bleed, so, I mean, they won't be nearly as good against a boss that cannot be bled, but if the boss can be bled, they're kind of insane. Their only drawback, I think, is health. They're pretty squishy, but if you aren't the type to just let your summon do all the work and take all the hits, then they can definitely do a lot of damage. So, and you can also separate them again if you want to for some reason. I don't really think there's any advantage to doing that, but drop down and get the spell Machinus Bellbearing, and with that, we're actually done. We're done with the Hinterlands, Count Ymir, and Yolan. The only other thing I can think of for this episode is to just go back to Fire Knight Queeline at some point and give him an Iris for his weapon, or Spirit Ashes if you haven't already. I know we kind of didn't have all the Irises collected when we encountered him at first in the walkthrough, so you might have decided to wait on that, but there's no reason to hold off any longer. And yeah, bit of a shorter one, but hopefully that was helpful, and next time we will do Jagged Peak, so I'll see you for that. Have a good one.